Hey guys, well now that Canon decided to join the party and finally release their full-frame digital mirrorless camera, I think it's time to really dig in and decide, where we are at with this whole thing. Nikon, as you guys know, recently announced the Z6 and Z7. Both decent offerings, but both with their own inherent shortcomings, like one card slot, hello, doesn't really make it pro. So neither of those are really pro bodies. Even though they're digital full frame, they're not pro bodies. And then Canon comes out with their EOS R, and they release what I would say is kind of like a mid-prosumer kind of camera. It doesn't really fit into, I wouldn't say that it would compete with a 5D Mark IV at all. I think it's well below a 5D Mark IV, but it's maybe a little bit above a 6D Mark II. So in the full frame realm, where does that really put it? It probably, would be something that if you were in the market for a 6D Mark II right now and you didn't own a 6D Mark II and you had a little bit of extra cash and you were excited to embrace the new technology, maybe the EOS R would do. One thing I can say that the EOS R has that the 6D Mark II doesn't is a headphone output. Hey, there's something. Both of them only have one card slot, which is like, come on, guys, if you want to put out a pro camera, for people that are shooting, even for shooting video, we want two card slots in a camera. I mean, even Fuji has two card slots in their X Pro 2 and their XT2, XT3, and the whatever that other one is. And speaking of which, where is Fuji with the whole full frame thing? Fuji's been making full frame cameras. Fuji has doing the mirrorless digital thing since the X100 came out in 2011. Okay, here it is. It's almost 2019, and there is no full frame camera from Fuji. I mean, you guys went from APS-C, that little teeny sensor, all the way to medium format, and you skipped full frame. Why would you do that? There's such an amazing opportunity. You've got such an incredible following, Fuji. Why don't you guys join the party and come out with a full frame camera? Well, who knows? Interestingly, just a little side note, Leica was the first brand that came out with a digital full frame mirrorless camera with the M9 that came out in 2009. So that's crazy to think that full frame mirrorless digital has been out for almost 10 years. So with the EOS R, they used the same large mount that they had with the EF, but they changed the flange distance. So that means that we will be seeing wider aperture lenses or faster glass on the new Canon mirrorless, just like we saw with the Sony. Sony's got a 58mm 0.95 f.95. It's not even a it's not even an f1. It's just below that. That's going to be insanely wide, razor thin. But that's on their, that hasn't even come out yet. Whereas Canon with the EOS R, they've already got their f1.2, their 50mm f1.2, which is incredibly wide. And I can only imagine that it's going to be incredibly sharp. Canon also claims that the EOS R has the fastest autofocusing system of any camera that they've ever made. Well, I love that. I love that they continue to improve their autofocus system. I love the dual pixel autofocus that I have on the 1DX Mark II and the 6D Mark II, and I can only imagine that if Canon's claims are correct, that will be a nice benchmark for shooters that are using their mirrorless full-frame digital systems. Hey guys, this video is brought to you by Squarespace, and as you know, I use Squarespace for my own website. In fact, anytime someone asks me for a recommendation, I always recommend Squarespace. Right now, if you use the code ADAM, you will save 10% on your Squarespace website at checkout. One of the things that I also really love and am excited about is this 28-70 f2. To be able to have, a kind of do-everything lens that is that fast at f2 is going to be extraordinarily nice. So you'll be able to shoot wide-open portraits, very wide-angle portraits at f2, so you get that nice kind of shallow depth of field. And then if you want to, zoom it all the way into 70 and you're at f2, that's going to give you really, really nice, tack sharp on your subject and soft focus in the background. I love that. I think that that lens is going to be the do-all lens for the EOS R shooters, And it's very exciting. At $3,000, I don't know. At $3,000, am I going to replace my 24-70 f2.8 Mark II? I don't think I would do it right away, but maybe over time, you know, who knows. The other thing we should talk about are the mount adapters, okay? This EOS R system will let you use EF, EFS, TSE, and MPE lenses, autofocus, metadata, image stabilization. All of those things are going to work, and the adapter won't break the bank, which is really cool. Canon also is going to offer its control ring adapter. Now, one of the things I should tell you guys about the control ring is that on the EOS R lenses, there is a new ring called the control ring. Hey, that's something cool. Maybe Nikon didn't really pay attention. And the cool thing about that is that you will be able to change certain things, or like, let me put it simply like this. The control ring is an extra ring on the end of the lens that you can assign customizable functions to, like, let's say, changing the ISO. So it will allow you to improve your workflow and work a lot faster. They also put this little kind of slidey thing on the back of the camera, which will allow you to make certain kinds of adjustments on the fly. I don't know how that will work in practice. I haven't seen it, but we will have yet to see it. But the control ring adapter is really cool. So if you're not using one of their RF lenses that has the control ring built in, you can use one of your EOS lenses with the mounting adapter and the control ring adapter. So not only do you get all the functionality out of your EF lens, you also can have this programmable control ring as well. So you can have all the same functionality that you get with the new lenses with just putting a couple of mount adapters on there. And then the third adapter, again, which I think is really, really fantastic, is this drop-in filter mount adapter that you will be able to use with a variable ND filter or a polarizing filter, which is really cool. And basically, you can it's a control ring adapter that goes onto the mount of the camera, and then the the filter slides right in there. And then once it's in there, it's got little wheels on it, and you can change. If you've got a variable ND filter, you can vary the ND. You can also change your polarizing situation with that little wheel. So I think that is a really cool thing. I think all of these innovations are really cool. And I like the fact that the camera is kind of backward compatible with a lot of glass. So where does this get us right now? Well, what this does, at least for me as a working professional, I am not going to be selling my 1DX Mark II or any of my L glass anytime soon. In fact, I can't even see getting rid of my 60 Mark II because it does such a great job with all of my other glass for doing all the video stuff that I do, that I don't see the need to replace it with this new system. Granted, I want to get my hands on the EOS R system in these RF lenses. I want to test them. I want to see how they do. And I'm very excited about that. But at the current moment, I don't see any of this, in my perspective, being stuff that I'm going to suddenly replace. If you're thinking about it for yourself, think about what you currently have. Do you have a bunch of really good glass? If you do, I would say hold on to that glass. Let Canon come out with a lot more glass in this realm before you start dumping glass and rushing to buy all the new stuff. As far as bodies go, if you haven't made the jump to a full-frame mirrorless system, maybe now's the time, especially if you own the good glass. That's it for now. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and we'll see you soon.